Howdy y'all, Goose here, and just doing another recap video on October 5th. So, looking at the overnight for NQ, wasn't a whole lot of action. This dark section right here is actually the London, kind of the London silver bullet hour. I map out all the silver bullet hours on my lower time frames, but I used to stay up for these, and I just kind of get good sleep these days. So, nothing really happening in that session. No major moves for the most part to any extremes. And going towards the open, we saw a move up, which actually took liquidity. It's easier to see over on the hourly chart on the left side here. We had liquidity sitting just almost at that 14,960 area. A little bit shy. I also have a daily key level there, and that's what this yellow bar going across the screen is. So good area to really turn around and reject, and that's exactly what it did. It actually did this before the market opened. So that's a good sign. Liquidity tap displacement on the way down, and we actually created a fair value gap, which there's actually two of them on the 5-minute, so outline those here. We do see retracement coming back, but the reason I actually did not take an entry here, even though it does meet, the criteria. I was looking, but if we do the fib tool, I add this as an extra step. I know some people just enter off fair value gaps, so potentially you could have entered, right here on the first fair value gap, and yeah, winning trade. You could have also, waited here and not gotten the trade. What I do is I look for confluence or a fair value gap if it's there, but I also look to make sure I'm buying. You might have heard this called a PD arrays by the ICT strategy, but it's essentially I like to buy below the 50% value of a retracement. So we came down, we made this sharp move after tapping liquidity, and we have the retracement. 50% was actually within the fair value gap here. There's some confluence right there. So, again, like I can totally get people who took this trade. I'm a little bit pickier. I just tend to wait for the 70.1 level here. And the only reason is because I've back tested that level, and I've seen a very high success rate of taking those trades. So that's kind of the level I was waiting for. I'm going to start looking at the 61.8 level, which I've just added into my fib, because I think there's maybe a good chance that might be potentially another entry I might start taking, at least with smaller size. So again, this is a trade I did not take, but it was very close to what I would have normally taken. And I'm going to start trying to get data on 61.8 instead of 70.1 when every other contingency is met. So we have the liquidity sweep, we have the breaker structure to the downside, which is actually right here, and then we have this retracement coming back into discount essentially right here. So very close. Unfortunately, didn't get it, but that's fine. I'm actually still waiting for my live account, so I don't have any trades that mean a whole lot right now to take. Just practicing on the simulator and practicing my call outs. That's kind of what this is, but still, very close. Later on in the day, we go ahead and we make new lows for the day, create some structure, come back down, break new lows of the day again. So this fair value gap here, I believe, is on the 3-minute. Yeah. So there's a 3-minute fair value gap that I was looking at. What I was thinking actually here was essentially we have you can see on the left side, a weekly key level. So we went from one weekly key level all the way down to another. And here I was starting to look at, I haven't had a trade technically. Let me see if we can get, just a bounce off this key level. So I'm just looking at candles at this point and started seeing these nice wicks on the 3-minute, right? Especially this one right here, really big and a small green closure. I'm now right here. I was really looking at it. So what I started doing was scaling in slowly. And what I'm gonna do, because I actually did take this on the simulator live, I'm gonna tack that on in on like a fast forwarded speed at the end of the video, just so you can see I did take the trade. I know I'm not one. There's no reason for me to lie here. So it wasn't a real trade, but I did take it on the simulator. I did see it in real time. So the reason that trade did not quite pan out though is that as I was building my entry, my average was right here in this 14,734 area where I've marked off. I bought some a little below, kind of was entering a little bit above, ended up having that average there. When we did start seeing the move and we touched into this fair value gap on the 3-minute, I actually moved my stops just above break even. And you can see right here, this candle came down and tapped me out for like a super tiny profit, but essentially that was a break-even trade. So I don't really, even if that had been a real trade, I would have been a little bummed because it did end up taking the move right after that and going. And that happens, right? I mean, you could have just not moved your stops and been fine, but I like to be a little bit cautious. So when I see a good move starting, and there's times where these fair value gaps are tapped and then we turn around. So especially because we hadn't changed market structure yet, I was just trying to protect myself from a potential quick turnaround after tapping in here. But yeah, no, that's not what happened. So this actually was a break-even trade. So for the day, nothing really to show, but that's okay because better than taking a massive loss or really any loss for that matter. So really close trade in the morning. I know there's a few big traders that did take this, and maybe their setups are probably a little different than mine. For me, it just wasn't quite there, but I think what I'm going to start doing again going forward, I'm just going to start scaling in at the 61.8, especially when a lot of things are pointing to have confluence. For example, we are in a downtrend still. On the daily, even kind of sort of on the 4-hour, we are definitely still in a downtrend. So that is a great signal to use too. That hey, we have a potential short setup here, and we're in the higher time frame downtrend. So I take trades on both sides. I'm just more confident on the ones that line up with that higher time frame trend. So like looking back, if I see another setup just like this, I'll start dipping my toes in right here. I'll probably start adding very small and then going full size when we get to the 70.1. That way, if something like this happens where everything else lines up and we're in discount and we've broken structure, tap liquidity, all the other things, then I'm not just sitting there staring at it as it goes. So but again, best thing is just to not have FOMO and look for the next trade. So market's still open, but I don't really see anything. I'm just going to leave the charts, and you can see here we actually had resistance right at the opening print level. So there you go, another key level that I like to use. Yeah, hope you guys caught something on today. And like I said, if you want to see that live trade, I'm going to tack it on here soon. But yeah, thanks for watching the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.